it may be my cup of coffee in the quiet stillness of my home before the children wake up, but that's my 110%.
Right.
And
oh yeah.
if we do that, we may be living, we may be accessing a higher power within ourselves.
It's interesting because we had talked about talking about fundamentals today, right? But that is a whole conversation. Just how are you starting your day? Are you starting your day with intention, or are you just waking up? Right? I mean, Fulton Sheen was an evangelist on television years ago, and I remember he said something like, "Are you waking up in the morning and it's thank you God, or is it oh God? Which one is it?"
Which one? Which expression of God are you saying?
Absolutely. And is it lamentation or is it exaltation? And that makes a big difference.
Well, it's about jumping right into the deep end, right? Like if we're going to swim, let's go swimming. And really that ties in really nicely to this conversation about fundamentals. And I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been in real estate sales, and it's funny because you still have these moments of epiphany, even 5 years in, and it all comes back to the same basic concepts.
Yeah.
I was sending text messages today, and I was just congratulating folks and talking to them about their listings. And it's so funny how you forget that the first text message or the first phone call is always the hardest. And then you get on a roll. And you could be doing something that in your everyday organic life you would like doing, but just because it's a task you have to do, you approach it with dread.
Yeah.
That first call, and if you jump in the deep end, you get on a roll.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They've done studies with people where they took something that they liked to do, and then they added a reward to it. Right. And so they did this with kids who love to draw. And they said, oh, well, every time you draw, you get a star. And when you get so many stars, you get a reward. And you know what happened? It totally demotivated them. They stopped drawing because it was no longer about, I love to draw. It became about, now I've got to do this and I'm trying to get the star. And once they got the star, it was done. And they actually had those kids stop doing something they love. As realtors, we have to get to a point where we just can love the process, because that's very motivating, right? But when we start making it I've got to make 10 calls today. Oh, it's terrible. I mean, but if you just go, man, I love talking to people. I'm going to talk to some people today. Changes everything, changes everything.
It actually ties into one of my favorite spiritual readings. It's from the Bhagavad Gita. I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's Gandhi's interpretation of it. Mm-hmm. And he said something along the lines of, pay not attention to the fruits of your labor. And what he meant by that was you do things because they're the right thing to do, or just for the love of doing them. You don't do them for the outcome. And we have a bold law that says the same thing. Focus on the activity, not the result.
Right.
And with time on task, you're going to get better and better and better at it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, but taking that back to sort of the conversation for the day, again, success is simple. That doesn't mean it's easy, right? And so many people in this industry, they want to find like the new sexy lead generation model, online advertising or whatever and all these things are great. Social media, all of it's really good. But ultimately it comes down to, how many people did you talk to today? How many appointments did you set today? How many contracts did you write today? How many closings did you have today? Right. And that's it. That is it. And how you get to those, it doesn't really matter. But ultimately, it's still going to be that same question. Who did you talk to today? Right. And from the people you talked to today, did you set any appointments? Did you get any referrals? Did you do that? And the one thing that you can't do is sit alone by yourself thinking about what you're going to do. That's not going to do anything. Right.
And Chris and I say this and laugh because, guys, we're in the boat with you. We're in the boat with you.
Absolutely.
And we know what that's like because we still go through it every day. So, don't think that it's something that you're just magically going to flip a switch and those habits will go away. They go up and down with time, and it's very normal. It's something we have to acknowledge, though. It's the elephant in the room with lead generation.
Right. But check your mindset too, because we started this way, right? Are you starting your day with energy and excitement and purpose, or are you going, And if I am coming into my lead gen time, and my attitude is, today, 10 great conversations. What's my goal for today? 10 great conversations. that's fun, right? But if my goal is 10 lead generation contacts,
that result in an appointment, that result in a,
right. But if I just track it, okay, I'm going to have 10 great conversations. I'm going to connect with people. I'm going to be the friend that everybody admires because I'm going to leverage my database to do that. You know what will happen is I'm going to get the business. And when I start putting that together, that when I really connect authentically with people, my business grows. Well, then I can just enjoy being present to the people in my database, right? I can live there.
I do have a caveat to that though, because some people naturally will be able to navigate the waters between speaking to people on a personal level and connecting, and
Yeah.
also being a real estate professional in that conversation. A lot of people have trouble bridging that gap. And I'd like to encourage all of you to look at the current market of the moment and realize you've been given a huge opportunity. This market is so historically unprecedented that your clients want to talk about it. They want,
oh yeah,
and they need to hear from you, because James Shaw, he was on Pivot Shift Ahead. Did you see that video he sent out last week
about the property equity report?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So can I tell you, we got a preview. James Shaw was in our market. He was in our market center. He came in and did our team meeting last week. So,
Nice.
so there, we got it firsthand.
Hey, well, the funny thing is I spoke about this at our team meeting last week before getting the email from James, and I pull this video up and I'm like, that's exactly what I was trying to say, but he said
all right.
it better.
So share that with everybody, because you and I are talking inside baseball right now. So what are we talking about? What is the thing that you are excited about that James Shaw was sharing?
So what James Shaw was sharing was that it is our job to take the data that the news outlets get into their hands, and then they have to get it out to the public. They churn data out and they create headlines, but they don't always interpret it through the lens of perspective and time. And he, made a comment because interest rates are rising. There's not enough inventory for buyer demand. Home prices are going up, and all of those things erode affordability. And that's all factually true. However, if you look through the lens of time and you actually look at the data, what becomes clear is that we are catching up to a normal level of the natural trend. The natural trend, if we didn't have that bubble back in 2008, we would have been looking at higher prices. We would have been looking at possibly higher interest rates.
Yeah.
And so, we are currently in a correction. We're not awaiting a correction. We are in a correction. We are normalizing. And guess what? Affordability might erode a tiny little bit with a raising interest rate, but it's still lower than it should be historically.
Absolutely. No, yeah, you're still paying less as a percentage of your household income than you have historically. And that is ultimately what matters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the high for affordability was that 36% of your income in the last 30 years, 36% of your income would go to a mortgage. Right now, we're sitting at 16.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Even if it goes up to 19, right? I mean, we're still below the trend line. I think the trend line is 19. We're still below the trend line, but we're nothing like what it's been in the past. So yes, home prices are high, but I guess the point James was making is it's our job to provide perspective, because we need to quiet and calm the panic that could exist out there with consumers and give them perspective so that they can make educated decisions about the next move in their life.
I'm going to agree with you wholeheartedly, and I love that, because that is what distinguishes you. I did an interview with an agent for Riverside Real Estate Success, and he was asking this question. He's like, listen, if you're on social media and you're posting, we got 50,000 over asking, who cares? A chimpanzee could do that right now. But if you're bringing valuable information that a brand new agent or a monkey can't bring, then you're providing actual value. And that perspective is the value that a professional is going to bring, right? So absolutely. Can I give one more reason why you should be doing an equity analysis with your clients too? here's why equity analysis are so great in your database, and you should be doing one equity analysis a day. You should be reaching out to someone at least once a day and saying, hey, I would love to do an equity analysis for your property. You're really important with me. And just like any of your other advisors is going to give you advice on your finances, blah, blah, blah. Why is it good now? Because it's a really positive association right now. My home went up 30% since October, according to some estimates, right? I love hearing that. Am I going to do anything about it? No. But if I was looking to move out of state, I absolutely would. If I was looking to refinance, take some money, buy an investment, if I had kids going to college and I was trying to figure out how I was going to finance that, because you know what, even if I refinanced right now and I took money for kids' college, it's going to be less than what they're going to get on student loans, right? So those are interesting, the positive association, take the win, right? You want them to think of real estate and go, man, I love that guy, right?
Well, and one of the things that's been really bothering me in the last couple of years, now that I'm in a leadership role, is that I see the consumers and I see the real estate agents, and I see that consumers want to know these things, but they're afraid to ask their real estate agent because they don't want to be a burden on their time. They don't know if they're going to make a move, or they don't even know that we do this as a part of our free services to the general public.
Yeah. Listen, when you call your clients and you say, or your friends or your family, your sphere, and you say, hey, I want to do an equity analysis, they go, well, I'm not thinking about buying or selling. There's a problem in the relationship. Because now they're thinking that your relationship is transactional. The only time you give them information or service is when they want to buy or sell. And that's not a good, healthy relationship. You want them to see you as, oh, when I have a question about real estate, I call Chris. Or when I need a reference, I call Chris. Or when I'm just curious, Yeah.
It's a question or a conversation. Well, and so I see the consumers, they have fear that stops them from engaging in that conversation. Or they'll even look at houses online because they don't want to bother their realtor. They'll let them know when they're serious, and they don't.
Oh man. Yeah. If Zillow is the person they trust and they can bother, not you, we got a problem.
Well, and Zillow is not even the person they can trust. It's just that they feel free bothering Zillow because it's not a person, it's a system. But the reality is they're taking your data and they're selling it for actual dollars, a lot of dollars to your subscribers. But then there's the other half of this conversation, which is our wonderful real estate agents that are all experts in their field, fiduciaries for their clients, and they have fear about coming into that business conversation. And so, after listening to James Shaw and thinking about my own database and my agents here, I thought, how can we bridge this conversation? So we actually just taught a class, and I'm really thrilled about it. I hope that it's a system that everyone embraces and uses. But we created a survey, and you can use the survey via link. You can send it out via social message, text message, email, or you can call your people and have these 10 great conversations, but also reference, that you're gathering some information. You want to know how you can help them. And it highlights 3 to 4 ways that we as real estate agents can help every homeowner. You do not need to be buying and selling. And so we're educating the consumer about what we're willing to do for them for free, regardless of the outcome. And we're highlighting ways they maybe didn't even think to ask us for info.
Yeah, I love it. But can I get back to let's circle back around to, though, how many conversations, how many appointments, how many contracts, right? How many closings? That's the heart of the business. And I would say and Danielle, back me up or disagree, for the majority of people, it's not even, the business conversation is one thing. And that would be increasing your averages, but for most people, it would literally, you'd see your business just double if you just talked to more people with intention.
But I feel like the problem there is that a lot of people are hesitant to pick up the phone because they don't know what they're going to say.
Well, let me call you.
Yeah. You almost have 2 problems. Either A, you're getting stopped because you don't know what you're going to say, or B, you're getting stopped because you know what you're going to say, but you don't know who you're going to call.
Right.
And those are both sides of the same coin. But we're trying to kind of just take the overthinking out of it.
Right. Yeah.
So
if you're looking at your database and you're like, I can't call them because it'd be weird, or I don't know what to say, it tells you haven't been in a relationship with your database.
Mhm.
Because if you're active in your database, then every time you look at a person, you should be able to have a note there. And
Okay,
then the call is natural.
I have to stop you because we're legit live on Facebook and I just pulled an absolute Danielle. Can you see the water all over my face?
I can't. Luckily through the magic of the internet, it's not as 4D. Now, maybe on Facebook they're seeing it, but I did notice. I was going to keep going, Danielle.
Okay, continue, Chris.
I was like Chris Rock getting slapped in the face. I was just going to continue my riff, right? Like it was.
Go ahead. I couldn't let that one go because then it would just be like, did anyone?
No. Now, if it was big wet spots down the front of your shirt, that's, we got to acknowledge, but it looks like you're clean.
I can
So
see the condensation. So something happened.
But again, all right, I'm going to go, but I am coming back. But again, if I'm talking, if I look at you, if Danielle pops up in my database as someone to talk to today, and I go, oh, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. That's the first time you call them. But if you're staying in a relationship in a regular basis in a systemized way, you're not going to have that happen the next time you call them, because you're going to have notes and you're going to say, hey, just calling to check in. I haven't talked to you in like 2 months. And what happened with whatever? Or I know you mentioned that you had family members looking to buy or sell. Anybody there? You probably follow up on those leads already. Or, hey, what's going on? I'm just calling to check in. It's not weird now. Yeah. What's that?
I said, how's the family? How's
yes.
Going? I just, it's been a while. Wanted to see what's done in your world.
Right. Most people, as they're developing their business, the first phase, you're not calling strangers. You shouldn't be necessarily, because most of us have 150 to 200 to 300 people we already know. We're just not good at staying in relationship with them. But most of those people, those 300 people, if they thought of you when they thought of real estate, well, there's a good portion of them who would absolutely use you, but they don't think of you because you're not in relationship with them. And then what happens is you call them when you finally get up the nerve to make your phone calls, and they go, oh my gosh, we just sold our house. I totally forgot you were in real estate. Right. I didn't think you, I'm so sorry. Or now it's awkward because now they don't want to talk to you because they feel guilty. Right. But you're giving them the permission to not feel guilty by talking to them on a fairly, not every week, not every month, just 4 times a year, have a conversation and then follow up with notes and birthdays and all that stuff, the 36 touch, right? But every day, just work in your database, develop your sphere, develop your relationships. Don't be a real estate automaton, but provide value,
It's this simple, guys. What Chris and I are trying to say to you is there is no magic pill. There is no magic. If there's one magic pill, it's how many at-bats did you have today? How many live conversations with folks exchanging information did you have? And was any of it actually about real estate? I think that's an important question you got to ask yourself.
Right.
But I think, on that last note, it is our job. We literally are here as guardians of good decisions to be made. That is what we're here for. And if you can't pick up the phone to let your clients know, hey, I don't want to bug you all the time and I don't want to send you a ton of erroneous information. So because I really care about you and it's really important that I'm there to help you if you need help this year in real estate, I want to ask you a few questions. I want to meet you where you're at. Is that all right? Do you have 2 minutes of your time that you can give? And I think that we've got to get over it. We have to start having that conversation with people because right now they are in over their heads. That is the reality. This market is tricky for a consumer. It's tricky for realtors. So I know it's for consumers.
Yeah.
And it's our job. It's our job to make sure we know who needs us.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you said about, that's a great, easy call. Hey, I'm just calling through everybody. And what I'd love to do is just get a little information about how long you've been in your house, because what that tells me is some of the things that might be coming up in your future. If you've been in the house for 20 years or you just moved in, but the house is 30 years, then you might need a roofer in the future. And so I hope you don't mind, but that tells me I can send you information that would be helpful. Or, hey, have you refinanced or whatever your little script is, you're collecting information that's going to allow you to provide value and allow you to be, an advocate for them.
Yeah. And I think, I just read that book, Never Split the Difference. And one of the things they talk about in there to get people to open up to conversation with you is you just come right out the gate and name their fear, their biggest fear. And so I would just come out and say, like, I don't want to chase you from here to, from here to the end of the earth, trying to sell you every service that's possible in real estate this year. It's much better for both of us if I simply straight out ask you, as a homeowner, do you have any of the following going on in your world? Because it is bananas out there, but we can help you.
Yeah.
And you need a realtor this year if you're looking at any of those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's another way to do it. Hey, I don't know if you know this, but I just got my license. And so I'm reaching out to everybody. And the way I'm looking at this is it just gives me an opportunity to stay in touch with all of the good people who are in my life. So you're going to hear from me more. I don't want you to shy away from that. I'm not going to like try to sell you every time I talk to you, but now I have an excuse to be the kind of friend I always wanted to be. So look out for it. I'll call you again, probably a month or 2 months. And I can't wait to talk to you again.
Yeah, here's another way, and it's just a slight, twist off of what you said, but what you said inspired me. I mean, if they're worried you're going to sell them something, why don't you just tell them this? It's not like you're going to up and buy a house from me. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're only going to buy and sell when you need to buy and sell. So I just want to make sure that I'm in enough relationship with you that I know when that time comes, I can throw my hat in the ring, because I'd like to make sure you have a great outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Danielle, this business is not complicated. The people who do the best are the ones who just get into a habit and enjoy the process of talking to, building relationships, and sustaining relationships. What that looks like for most people, if you're not in the habit, is set apart time every day to intentionally connect with people. Right? Set some minimums, set some goals, and learn to love the process. And if you do that, the sky's the limit on your success. That absolutely is true. But if you're like the majority of realtors who get deals, maybe you do 10 a year, and that's, and your 10 are kind of, you don't know where they come from. Well, it's probably because you're in relationship with enough people to do 10, right? And I found this out in my life. When I went and did the math of how many people I talk to every month who I'm in a relationship with, it absolutely directly correlated to the amount of business I was doing. So if I want more business, I just have to be in relationship with more people,
And if you're struggling with anything in this conversation, I encourage you to turn to the leader in your brokerage. And if you don't have one that you feel confident with, you can reach out to Chris or I. You can leave your information here. But turn to them and say, what are 5 pieces of value I can bring to my clients in regards to buying, selling, investing, refinancing, or owning a home? Those are all different aspects of home ownership and clients that we work with. And you should have a value proposition that you can give to them to help inform them on any one of those things. And you should have a way to systematize it. Don't make it hard. RPR is a great tool. Plug in the address, pull the report for the home value, and send the front 2 pages and say, if you want to go more in depth and come out of a range and get to a specific number, we can absolutely do that. You let me know, right?
Yeah.
The neighborhood nurture snapshots from Command that automatically send market activity.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to systematize this. Know what your value is and know what the system is you're going to use. And then
absolutely
calls.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just add, enjoy the process. Have fun. Because you'll come back to it if you do. So, celebrate it. One of the things, Danielle, when I'm doing my lead calls is when I get an appointment, I have literally done a victory lap, right? When it's someone I've been trying to get in touch with, we have a good conversation, and it's silly, and I'm doing it, but that's why, I think people do better when we work in groups, when we work in communities. And so if you're one of those people who's fallen into that fallacy of, well, I just work at home, my guess is you're probably not as happy as you could be. And if you were doing your lead gen time and you could walk out and high five somebody and then go back to it, you'd probably do more lead gen time.
Share the wins. I 100% agree with that. Share and celebrate your wins. I don't care how that looks, but do it, because it's, life is too short for us to not fully enjoy the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you find yourself in a brokerage where you're alone in a closet doing your lead gen, get out of it, right? If you find yourself at a brokerage where people are not celebrating your victories, that's not a good place for your productivity. Find some place where people are as excited as you are about your victories, right? That's what I mean, I love it. I had an agent in my office this morning, and she took a listing, and she was excited to tell me she'd partner with one of our brand new agents. One of our vets is going 50-50 with one of our brand new agents because he's got language skills she doesn't have. And so she's going to walk him through it. And she said, you're going to work. Don't get me wrong, but she's excited for his victory, right? I love that. I love that. That's the kind of environment that breeds massive success.
That's just like what Sean Aker was telling us at the keynote speech, right? We are constellations, and we are all connected, and we can get more of an outcome, right, by just doing the same things but doing them around people.
Absolutely.
We maximize the return.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Chris, how can people get a hold of you if they're crying in a closet and they don't have?
I know. Well, you can call me direct at 951-290-2732. You can also find me at riversiderealestatesuccess.com. You can see some of the interviews I do with top producers, or just some of my inspirational, motivational coaching stuff. And you can actually schedule a consult right there at riversiderealestatesuccess.com if you would like to sit down and talk. So yeah, I love it. I tell you what, Danielle, I have so much fun working with top producers to go to the next level. And I, I enjoy that so much. So yeah, come on in for a consult. The other thing, and I know you love this too, is when you see that person who it just clicks, all of a sudden, whether that's a brand new agent or it's somebody who's been trying to make a hire or whatever it is, it just clicks, the light bulb goes off, and you're like, yep, it's on. Yep.
It's like when if you're walking down a hallway and you got all these doors open and each one is a distraction, or like it's going to hurt your profit margin, you start to see agents close the doors themselves. Doors they used to go through, they don't go through them anymore because they know where they're going. And I love that, because that means they've really owned and understood the models.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. All right, Danielle, how do they get in touch with you? Come on now.
Y'all can call me at 310-748-7442, or you can shoot me an email at danielle@bentongroup.org. That's DANIELLE @bentongroup.org. All
right, Danielle, it's been fun. I love this. One of my favorite parts of the week. So I will catch you next week.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Bye. Bye-bye.